Critical EDH. Critical EDH gives you wings.
That
should be your tagline. You might get copyright strike by that. You'll be good for a while.
So we're joined with. Introduce yourselves.
Hello, we are That's a Good Card. TAGC, That's a Good Card cEDH podcast. Mm-hmm. We have a cEDH podcast where we talk about fringe cEDH cards. Mm-hmm. So we'll take a 99th to 102nd card. We will bring it to the other person. We'll say, hey, this card's very good. These are the reasons why I think it's very good.
No,
and then goes, no, it is not. And these are the reasons why it is not. And then we have a discussion. Yeah. And then we'll have a discussion afterwards. So that's kind of our thing. Mm-hmm. We post every Mondays, and it's super chill.
Dude, I think it's super fun. I started in casual, and I got the bad habit of I was like, I want to play like Emery. And it's like, well, gotta get Soul Ring, and then go Arcane Signet, and then I run out of ideas, like 5 cards in, and then I just go to EDH Rec, and then I guess add another, 98 cards. And
this is gas. Oh wait, I kind of want this.
And that's a great way to get a ton of decks that are built basically the same way. And so I really appreciate getting to listen to you guys' content. I was just talking with the guys about Birthing Ritual was a great example of a card that kind of like flew over my radar, and there were so many like cards in Modern Horizons 2 that came out the gate. Modern Horizons 3. Sorry.
I mean 2.
Yeah. Oh man.
Not relevant, but yes, also
what a dumb set.
Okay, little segue. I'm just waiting for the next Modern Horizons set to shake up our format. We don't play Modern. Every single time there's a Modern Horizons format or Lord of the Rings or whatever, it's a Modern format.
Always bangers for cEDH.
I know, it's crazy.
Although, also another tangent, I think Aether Drift is super underwhelming for our format. Like really underwhelming.
It is so sad how like lukewarm of a take that is.
Everyone's just kind of like, it is what it is.
Man, I wish it was a hotter take to say that like it was a bad set, but man, it's just I just wish it was better. It had so much potential.
If Hashaton's the best thing coming out of that set, I think they
I actually don't think it's Hashaton.
Do you think it's stock up?
I think it might be Ketramos.
I'm talking about it. I'm telling you.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk about that.
Dude, because I was talking with Gold Sabertooth, and he also thinks that card is like total gas.
He's like, there's something here. That's what. But go ahead.
No, I think like it's in colors that we don't normally see card draw as that you can.
It took us like 30 seconds to get off.
Dude. I know. Now we're talking about
what you're laughing about.
Okay. We are notoriously one of our inside jokes of the podcast is that we're the #1 cEDH ORZHOV podcast, but neither of us play ORZHOV. Yeah, because we've brought so many ORZHOV cards, specifically like multicolored cards. We do ORZHOV. We've done so many ORZHOV cards. We've done Brina. We've done Kumbal. We've done Drana and Linvala. So then, and a lot of times people like those are all legendary creatures. Yeah, they are. So I think we get a lot of people who are drawn to running those as commanders.
Yes.
So then they're like, yes, this is the podcast that I want to listen to. They're talking about my commander, even though we're not talking about it in the commander centric. Like we maybe glaze over
I
it.
think I'm going to include something ORZHOV related in the title of this.
Talking to the #1 ORZHOV cEDH podcasters who don't play ORZHOV.
That's funny. The #1 Brina podcast.
Well, something that we were just talking about with the previous player is how cEDH tournaments are anything but black and white, because you think it would just be win-loss, but it seems like there's draws out the wazoo.
That is what you did there.
Legendary.
You thought it was wow. That was. I'll give you that. That was really good.
Holy.
But for real though, like the average, there were so many draws today. Like I feel like I was talking to everyone. I was like, dude, how are your games going? And everyone was like, another draw. Was that you guys' experience?
That was mine. I ended today 1 win, 4 draws.
Oh my god!
Undefeated on Corvold Landfall. You drew what? Twice? Only once. Okay.
I have 1 draw. I have 1 win and 3 losses. The 3 losses. We could have pressed for draws, but like they ended up winning like in extra time, like that kind of a thing. And then,
like they were real close to draws, right in that line.
And then I had 1 like true draw where I could counter a person and let somebody else win, or I could not counter something and let this person win, and they were like draw. Right, like that's just the way it went. It just made sense for everybody to take the draw. Right, the Goto player was like, "Yeah,
Excuse me, there's a Godo player here? I have not run into that person yet. Okay.
Godo out here getting draws.
Logan, did you draw a lot today?
I am 2-1-2.
Okay.
So doing okay. I think one of the draws I could have converted, but I kind of stumbled a little.
Yeah.
But
were they draws to time, or were they like packed on the stack? We're drawing, right?
Every round is going to time for me.
Yeah.
I think that's a consequence of the deck I'm playing. But
100%.
Yeah.
I just played your deck for a fun game, and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I win? I can just keep killing their boards and keep interacting with them.
Yeah.
But I was not ready to win on Glarb.
I think it's one of those decks that you kind of grow into, or you just don't, and it's like it's a playstyle thing. You kind of have to shift your mindset a bit, and a lot of what I'm doing right now is I'm planning out my turn, which doesn't really consist of much, and then playing my turn and going, okay, pass. Like any effects to my turn? No, okay, I'm passing.
Yeah.
So you're trying to push things along.
Totally cool with going to time and then playing some kind of flash enabler and then trying to win at the very, very last second. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I've been in cEDH for about a year and a half, still a bit of a baby, and going to tournaments, especially maybe only in the last half year or so. So kind of how long have you guys kind of been in the tourney scene, and has it always been this super yappy, super politicky, like every game going to like 20 minutes overtime, or is that kind of like a new phenomena, kind of like post-ban?
So it's interesting for us because we actually started playing cEDH just in our own little world, right, y'all?
Yeah, very much so.
So we used to work together, and we kind of got a lot of our coworkers to start playing cEDH specifically, but people who we started like high power and then the classic high power to cEDH, and then we were all into cEDH. We never played it at our LGS. We literally just stayed in our little cEDH bubble that grew from like 8 players to like 15 players, where we had like people all the time. We would literally play in the gym that we were at. Just like we like would just be like, hey, here you go. We're gonna play like in this climbing gym. So so we were in a very insulated cEDH meta where we knew each other's decks like the back of our hands. Like we were like, anytime somebody got a new deck, we were like, okay, this is cool. But we didn't really get exposed to the tournament scene until probably like a year and a half ago. That's when we started like kind of grinding, grinding.
Just attending tournaments.
Attending tournaments on a consistent basis.
What was it like breaking out of that insular meta? Because like I think our group experienced a lot of that, where we had a good like maybe 6 or 8 people that played cEDH, and then we're like, wow, we're so competitive with each other, and then like occasionally like a person who actually played cEDH would get thrown in, and we're like, oh wait, this is something.
There's levels to this shit. Why don't you describe what the transition is like?
I think it's pretty classic for everybody, right? Like there's just an arms race, and somebody buys cards and like powers up their deck, and then the next thing you know, you're like pretty much playing cEDH, and that's when I think or a couple of us discovered like playing with power, play to win was still really new at the time.
Newish,
because I got back into Magic during the pandemic, right?
A lot of people did,
And then when I played my first tournament. My first 2 or 3 tournaments were online.
Yep.
Right, they were online, and so
trash, by the way. Not a hot take, but I am not a fan of playing online tournaments whatsoever.
And to answer your question, I think that part of the yapping, there was definitely yapping online, but like because of the insular nature that you're in, just with your camera, like some audio, like I think there was a little bit less of that.
Interesting.
Even though it still happened.
That makes so much sense.
Right, and then now when you're there, you can read body language, and you can kind of like do a little bit more. I think some people feel way more natural talking, yapping in person than they do potentially just to a camera.
But there's also the inverse, because I definitely know people who like over the camera online they yap a lot and they're very confident, and in person they just like the second they touch cardboard they're like, no, I don't, nope, not happening.
I think the there's definitely that the online presence like empowers people, and other times it's the opposite.
It's quite the opposite. Yeah. And like specifically as a Corvold pilot playing in online things.
Oh no.
You just got to deal with people like stereotyping you as like a cheater a lot of the times.
Okay.
If there was
holy
multiple,
cow!
There's been multiple events or occurrences of very sketchy confirmed and unconfirmed Corvold play specifically. This was like obviously when Dockside when Corvold was a good deck, you know. You remember that?
It's A tier in my heart.
So like in my experience playing online or playing with randoms has always been a difficult one. A challenge.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys play online with friends just to maintain your, like
all the time?
Oh yeah.
Because you guys are geographically like separate, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. So I'm up in Seattle. Shout out Pacific Northwest cEDH.
Hell yeah.
Huge, awesome, strong scene up there. And then y'all's down here.
I'm still here in the Southern California area. I'm like an hour and a half north of here.
Yeah.
Like give or take. So it was a really easy drive down here to San Diego.
It makes sense to come down here. And
it was really easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was the catalyst that kind of made you guys think like, I want to start playing in tournaments? Time to lose some money.
Why you gotta put it that way?
Come on, sorry.
You gotta put it that way.
Sorry. I'm projecting.
Yeah.
I'm all 5-1.
Honestly, it's just like at the end of the day, it's like paying for community. It's like 100%. It's
That's
literally
great,
just paying for community. Like even if you're not consistently topping tournaments, like I always make this example, but like if I wanted to really push the envelope and make sure I was in the money in every single tournament. One, I don't know if I'd be playing Magic, but two, like I wouldn't be playing Corvold, right? But I play this game for community. I played this game for entertainment and joy.
Yeah.
And I think that like there's something to paying into something that you know is giving so much back to you.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Agree with that. I think that as the game gets a little more pricey, which makes sense, right? In terms of like getting the tournaments, like you said, like I totally agree with Kyle. It's like paying for the community, right? I worked in climbing gyms. I worked in gyms for decades, right? Like 20 plus years now, give or take. And people are technically paying for friendship that way, right? They're paying
same thing,
for a gym.
It's a super social hobby,
right?
Same
like
thing.
It's a very social hobby, and like there's something about going through trials and tribulations together, right? In climbing, it's physically climbing, and here it's like the puzzle of stopping you, trying to have a good time, but also trying to win, right? And like, and optimizing that as much as possible, and meeting people that are like-minded like that. I'll pay for that.
All day.
Like we pay for all kinds of like worse stuff, and like this is a local event. I'm sitting here like talking to people like this is why I'm probably here.
That's so interesting.
I love the game, but like this is it.
It's for the love of the game, but for the love of the community. Is
for sure.
Really what it is.
That's such a fascinating analogy because like climbing is such a kind of like gamified form of exercising because that's such a clearly defined like start and
Black
finish.
and white. It's pretty black and white. Yeah, like it's
ORZHOV sport? That's why. No.
Oh, we got there. We got there.
Climbing is the most ORZHOV sport.
Do you guys climb?
I used to.
We're off the rails.
In climbing, like what I love about bouldering is no ropes. If you fall, you fall to the ground.
Bowling rules.
It is very black and white, right? And I think there's a layer of that in Magic that is just very black and white. Right, the rules are very specific.
You make it to the top, or you don't make it to the top.
Right, you win or you don't. But like, it's all about like the how you get there,
The journey.
Because like the four of us will all climb the same climb pretty differently, right? Based on body type, experience, all of that stuff.
Like kind of dynamic
Or
versus
technique
static.
or-
So interesting point that you've now brought me upon. Do you think that cEDH or Magic in general is black and white? Because like it's not really win or loss. Because here's like the caveat is like I feel like now being so entrenched in the tournament format, and even so like when playing with friends or mutuals, we like time rounds to 80 minutes because we're like sick of playing 3-hour games.
Yeah,
for
we
fun.
started doing that too.
So by doing that, like we're so happy and accepting of just good games, even if they end in a draw.
Yes.
That I've started to like really, and maybe this is just copium because I have 4 draws today, but like I really appreciate the good games that we see, like super crazy random stuff happening that you're like, this is the one of the most unique cEDH games I've ever played. Did anybody win or lose? No. Did everyone have a good time? Hell yeah. I saw a turn 2 Jin Gataxis.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jacob Hawken?
No. Ooh, no. Is it Hashiton player? No. Hashiton player.
Okay.
Yeah, so Hashiton got back. Hashiton turn 1.
That's Orzhov Plus.
Yeah, it is Orzhov Plus. It's Orzhov with a good color. So, so Hashiton, just turn 1, scariest thing possible. Draw a card for turn. Move to cleanup. Jin Gataxis.
Don't like. Oh man. No land. I was like, everyone of them was like, whoa.
And then of course on his turn he was like, land, mana rock. Okay, get Jin Gataxis. But I responded with an Orcish Bowmaster, and then I was able to make a big ol' orc army.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then I did a cheeky little Ruthless Technomancer, and then ended up making some big treasures.
That's
and that
sweet.
game just turned into like the weirdest thing ever because everyone was afraid of Jin Gataxis, but then they were like, well, Corvo's got 10 treasures, and I was like, yeah. And that game just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So many different things happening, and like that's where I found joy in the game. Is like I have never in my life ever seen that happen.
Yeah.
And I probably will never see a game that happens like that. So it's just so cool to have interactions that are unique.
Right.
Every time we play.
You can't predict what you can sit across from a deck and say like, I kind of vaguely know what you're playing in your deck. However, I don't know what cards you have in your hand. I don't know what you're drawing. I don't know what you're tutoring for, that sort of thing. And then you're kind of getting these like unique interactions or unique game states.
Yep.
And you talked about deriving joy from like these interactions, but what I'm trying to, what I found today was that like I'm deriving joy from like playing cleanly. I'm like I am playing to like my best, like when I feel like, okay, I'm announcing my triggers, I'm like in a flow state almost, and like I'm like, oh man, like things are starting to click, things are starting to roll in my head, I'm like, I'm feeling good. And like I'm now chasing after that feeling. I'm chasing after that
Clean
sort of
play.
like state.
That's nice.
I
wouldn't know about it.
I am way too being like, I'd like to pass priority on my upkeep and move to my draw step. But I do really get what you're talking about. Of there's something so satisfying about just making less mistakes.
Is that where you find your joy? So we've kind of gone in this rabbit hole now where it's like I talked about my joy, Logan talked about his joy. Let's talk about your joy.
My joy.
Yeah, what's your cEDH joy?
I think my cEDH joy, I think kind of going back to that rock climbing analogy, is it's not uncommon for people who have climbed to get really stuck on like a grade trying to move from like a V4 to a V5. And
this is over my head.
Sometimes there's like these really...
We'll talk about it in the car.
Climbing up the wall gets really hard, but sometimes it gets even harder, and sometimes it gets even harder.
Yeah, how hard is it? Very hard.
Yeah. You're saying there's levels to this shit?
Yeah.
Brackets. Okay. Well, you and I like...
that hold right there? Game changer hold.
You guys are talking about climbing as like your sort of analogy and how you relate to that. I don't think Eric and I have quite the same experience in that activity, but what we've been talking about a lot lately is poker and like Texas Hold'em, because I grew up playing Texas Hold'em.
Same.
I mean, like not professionally, but I played it in like high school with a lot of my friends, and like even a little through college. And now I'm getting like those sort of like brain muscles that are doing the same things with cEDH, because I'm now looking at people's hands and going, what could they have? Do they have what I think they have? And kind of bluffing. He talked about bluffing a Mind Break Trap with a red blast in his hand. And he goes, how many spells did you cast? And the player's like, classic. Oh, this is my third. Oh, he can't cast it. And he's like, you know.
I've also, this is one of 2 times I've lied in cEDH. And just,
is this a confessional?
This is a confession.
Let's hear the confessional.
I'm going to tell a statement and then a story.
Okay.
Statement. There will not be a third lie.
Oh my God. I'm so ready for this.
So story. I'm playing Lumra. Alrighty. my favorite mono green lands bear. It's going to time. I'm trying to convince people to go to a draw. A Kinnan player is like, I think I can win here, and I say, no, you can't. I have endurance. And he said, in hand, and I said, in hand, and he goes, okay, I guess I'll draw. We shuffle up. I go to Logan, and I'm like, I just told a guy I had endurance in hand. Bro, it's not even in my deck. And so all I'm saying is,
Shame.
if you're in a game with me from henceforth, if you say I need to physically see the card, I understand you deserve that information.
Evil. Evil.
Wasn't this like a really low stakes game too?
Dude, when you're mono colors in cEDH, every game's high stakes. But I think that was kind of earlier on, and while it's a funny story, I think it's a great indication of how I needed to kind of lean on like kind of improper tools or tools that have really short shelf life. Like I think in terms of reputation, if you're known as someone who is like not trustful,
you're screwed.
Like, you're hosed.
Especially in local metas.
Yeah.
You get tagged.
You get tagged so fast.
You get tagged quick.
Okay, I'm gonna use this as a segue real quick.
Oh yeah, jump in.
This is a problem that we're going to continually run into because we're now putting out content online, and people are here walking up to us and going, "Hey, it's you guys," and we're like, "We have 200 subscribers. Like this is not a big deal, but it's like it's cool that
and you could be one of them." Sorry,
that's true.
Subscribe to Critical EDH.
But like, I think maybe you guys run into this a little bit too, where like I'm now like public facing, and I'm now invested as my health as a player and how people view me as a player, and being part of this community instead of being like a negative, like a pimple on the community. Like I don't want to be
sure, yeah.
Nobody popping.
You have a reputation that you would like to hold at a higher standard, I think, and there is no wiggle room in that at all. Once you're kind of seen as a member of the community that's kind of spotlighted, like you can't even really get away with like lies of omission or anything that's even remotely like riding a line, because people will remember that because they remember that they're playing against you specifically. You're not just a random person, so it definitely presents another challenge because it definitely makes it harder to pull wins out.
It's pretty easy to push through wins if you can like just straight up lie to people and like. I mean, it would be so easy to win in the short term, but that's why you don't do it. It's because like.
Well, and
one, shiesty. Two, like reputation.
And outside of the personal effect on like a relational level, if you're trying to grow as a cEDH player, you're handicapping yourself by saying like, oh, I'm only going to interact like politically or socially on false information, because I think at the end of the day, like nothing's more powerful than the truth of what's actually in your hand, what's actually in your deck. And so instead of playing, this phantom game where you're bluffing, I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people have grasped on to like how powerful it is to like show people counterspells or removal, is because now it's a way to add a degree of like realness and concreteness to those social interactions, that without even putting spells on the stack, you guys are trading blows card for card. And I think while it sometimes can be really, really frustrating because you can be in a tournament game going to time where no one's done anything for like 20 minutes, I think I've really enjoyed moving into that space because it pushes you to really get everything out of your cards, because even if you can't cast them, they still have power just on the basis that they're in your deck, and I think that's awesome.
Much like a cEDH game, I'm trying to turn the corner of this episode into closing it out, and that's pretty hard to do, but I do want to mention one thing. We came back from dinner, and we walked into the lobby con, trying to see if we know any people here, and you guys are sitting away from us. Like you're I see the back of your heads. You're wearing hats. I didn't recognize you right away, and you turn around and you're like, "Oh, hey guys, like how's it going?" And we're like, so we walked over, and what the hell are you guys playing? You're playing our decks.
100%. Just because we were just
that is such a cool feeling.
100%.
So I think you were playing Glarb, and I
was playing Glarb, your list, and Lumra. Just so happened. That's so funny. We had no plans. We were just like, we want to play a for fun game. Sure. What do we want to play? Not the deck I brought. That's for sure. Just put 5 games of long, hard fought games. Nope, I'm not playing Corvold again. I said, what do you got? My buddy was like, I got all of these things. Okay, I guess I'll play Galar, but I've never played this. This is almost Jund. Sure.
Almost.
And what did you go? Ooh. Cocaine Bear, Green Bear. yes. I
no
played
interaction.
Bear.
Sure, I'm in.
Yeah. Head empty,
dude.
That's play land.
Cast
Bear.
The noise
Green
everyone made
back.
when you put Tabernacle out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sicko card.
So one of us has to play Corvold, and one of us has to play Malcolm Vile Smasher, because that's what you're playing, right?
That's what I'm playing at this tournament. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, any final notes? Anything you want to plug?
No, plug y'all. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah,
You're just starting out, but I think you both have really great natural synergy, and I think you have
for sure.
both
Definitely.
You both have a great grasp on your meta and are reaching out to other metas, and I think that will make you really well-rounded in your knowledge of the format, and I think that is much needed in the space.
Wow,
so
awesome.
kudos.
We look up to you guys a lot.
Wow.
We listen to your podcast and we go like, okay, how can we be better conversationally and kind of look at things critically?
Yeah.
And that's why we named the channel Critical EDH, because despite like us being casual and stuff like that, we do want to take a hard look at some things and look at things from all angles.
Yeah.
And you guys do a really good job of that.
You do a really good job of that.
Like
Thank you
looking
so
at
much.
cards and stuff like that. I mean, that's awesome.
It's 100% getting help from other people. That's also a big thing.
Sure.
It's like,
just ask.
Yeah, like we were just talking about this the other day. Whenever we see a card and we're like just thinking about it, like if we're gonna cover this card, like what kind of decks is it gonna go in? We should reach out to XYZ people that we know play these decks because they have a better understanding of these decks. We were like joke that we have some specialists. So if you're a specialist on any of these decks, obviously we got the Lumra and the Glarb gods here, but so you'll be our specialist for those. But
check out the That's a Good Card cEDH podcast and the Discord. The Discord's actually sick.
Thank you so
Discord's
much.
awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much for
And the Artist Talent episode and what, Reverend Silence?
True, you got 2. You got 2.
That's a lot.
You're
I was expecting 0.
Yeah,
I'm really
2
looking
is
for,
awesome.
I'm going to listen to you guys as a Uba's Mask episode on the plane ride home.
Okay, yeah. That is a Magic Gathering card
It's a Magic
that we
Gathering
have covered. That is correct.
Maybe I'll start bringing Drannith back in decks. Maybe I'll have to play Orzhov.
Oh boy.
Orzhov Uba Mask blog.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Really hope you guys can do well in the closing out the last 2 games tomorrow.
Thank you. Let's do it.
Hoping for victories for both you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Boom. Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll see you next time.